U2 up 2, and we're going to put this on the second gap or second ring landing down. And I might just start it up here on top and do it a section at a time, so I'll make sure not break the ring. Because they are tight when they're new. Okay. Got it stuck in that first gap there. I might have to do a retake on this. It's crazy, I got to do this on camera and then have issues with it. Can do this all day long without the camera moving. All right, guys, we're going to do the piston rings today on this Kawasaki fr541v. We have a little bit of a problem. So everything I've read on the ring replacement says that the top ring and the bottom ring, top ring being marked number 1, second compression ring being marked number 2, says the paint line that's on that should go to the right side of the gap. Well, and if your ring, your second compression ring, has a notch, the notch should be up. Well, these rings are in contradiction of that. So here's our 2 rings. I don't know if you'll be able to see. The numbers on them. Let me get my mug out of it and see if we can see the numbers on these rings. So this is the top ring, that's marked 1. It's marked U1, and I'm assuming that U means up 1. And it is not going to focus on that. Anyway, this one is marked up 1, or U1. The second one is marked U2. And all the instructions say that if there's a paint mark on the side by the end gap, the paint mark goes to the right, which that would be my right side there. You can see that paint mark right in front of my thumb there. But then everything else says if you have a ring that's notched, the notch should go up, which would be like that. And this is a notched ring. So on the fr730v that I just did, it didn't have any notches on the rings. But that one does. It has a notch. So there's a controversy there, because if I turn the notch up, then it puts the paint mark on the left and the U2 on the top, which would be wrong. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with the 2 out of the 3. The U2 being up, the paint mark on the right of the gap, but the notch is going to be down. And we'll just have to see how it goes. I don't know. I'm not an expert on this. This is the first one I've done with the notches. And then, of course, the other ones, they're kind of like, they don't really matter. It's the center oil. Okay, now this set here, the other set has a paint mark on both rings. It's so inconsistent on something that is supposed to be so important. It amazes me. Some rings you get, they'll have the notch. Some rings you don't. Some of them's got the paint. Some of them don't. Some of them's got numbers on top of them. Some of them don't. It's all over the place. So anyway, I've already put the oil wipers together, the 3-piece on the bottom. You have that expanded ring in the middle, and then you got your 2 wiper rings, one on top, one on bottom. And the main thing is you just want to separate the gaps. So I've got the bottom gap is there on that one, on that side, and the top gap is there on this side. And the arrow for the piston goes forward towards the top of the engine, which is going to be where your stator is and your flywheel and all that stuff. This is piston number 1. So this will be, for this side over here, cylinder 1. Now, that one's done. And I already sliced my finger this morning taking the ring off. These suckers get sharp. I didn't realize they were that sharp, but they're really easy to get off. I don't know why I sliced my finger doing it. Maybe spinning it or something. I don't know. Anyway, sliced the crap out of it and it bled and bled. So these little rings down here on the bottom, they're I might just take it off the bottom. And it doesn't matter if I accidentally break one of these because we're not using them again anyway. You just find the end gap on them. And then you got to separate it. Slide it around and pull it out at the same time, kind of. Like so. And then, okay, there's the end of that one. Now when you're putting this one in though, you definitely got to make sure you don't overlap it. I think it would be too tight. It would be hard to overlap. But you might be able to overlap that first notch or something, but I don't think you get your rings in there if you overlap it, because it would be really tight. It'd fill up the ring groove. So there's that. Now, where is my... Okay, you know what? I just screwed up because that was my new rings. I pulled the new ring off. Well, that ain't new. That's definitely a used set. Oh, I got screwed up. So my new one's already on there on piston 1. I'll tell you what, you really got to pay attention to what you're doing. And if you're scatterbrained like I am. Okay, so we're going to do ring 2. This is ring 2. U2, up 2. And we're going to put this on the second gap, or second ring landing down. And I might just start it up here on top and do it a section at a time. So I'll make sure not to break the ring. Because they are tight when they're new. Okay. Got it stuck in that first gap there. I might have to do a retake on this. It's crazy, I got to do this on camera and then have issues with it. Can do this all day long without the camera moving or camera running and not have any issues. All right, give me a minute. All right, we're going to go ahead and get this second ring in now. So, paint mark on the right of the gap. We'll put the ring in to the gap that it goes into and just work our way around. And there it is. And then the top ring, U up. Now we want to separate the gaps on these, so I'm going to come over to this side of the skirt and I'm going to, now this one here don't have a paint line on it, but I know that the U1 has got to be on top. Okay, so now we got all of our rings in there. We got top rings gapped on this side. The second ring is gapped on this side, which is almost directly across. And then on the two oils, one is gapped right here on the top, and the other one is gapped right here on the bottom. I might move that around just a little bit. All right, so there's one we have done, and we'll get the second one done. Now I notice this one here is even different yet. So it's marked 1 up, and it's got a paint mark, which that one didn't have a paint mark on the top one. And this one's 2 up, and it's got a paint mark. And it also has the notch. And then of course our oil rings are the same. So we're going to start with this one. Or what you call an oil wiper ring, I guess. And I'm just going to move this one around right over here to the side of the skirt. No, I think I'm going to put it on this side because, well, let's see. I guess it don't really matter. Heard somebody say something about not putting the gaps where the thrust side is. But anyway, so we got that. We'll take one of our wiper rings and we'll do this. So our wiper ring starts there. We're going to take one of our rings for the wiper and we're going to start it on the bottom of that. These right here, not as hard to do. So now we've got one there. And we're going to do this one on the top. Then we'll start it over here. But I'm going to move it off that groove. That's a groove I'm guessing for the oil to come back down between the rings. Okay, so that one's in. Now we're going to go with our number 2 compression. And we're just going to start it in the gap. and work our way around ever so gently. And then when we get to the edge here, I'm just going to slide her all the way across till it's in there. And we're going to move this one back over here, opposite of where this one was at. And then our our top one. So we're there, we're going to cross pattern it X across over here to this side, paint line on the mark, up one, and we're going to work our way around, and it's in there. Okay, so next thing we'll do is lube these up, probably slide the crank in, take the caps off one at a time, slide them in on the journal, and then torque those down, and we should be good there. Okay, we're going to I've already put the number 1 cylinder in on that side, kind of off camera to make sure I'm doing everything right, kind of get a system going here. I'm going to put a little bit of engine assembly lube on the rod journal too, just for good measure, even though I did it on the crank journal, because I sure don't want no dry start. Okay, so I'm going to take this rod cap off of here, and I'll keep it oriented exactly the same, like it's got to go back in. All right, now on top here, I'm going to go ahead and pour some oil inside the ring grooves and let that run down a little bit, and kind of get it all around the rings, still keeping my ring grooves separated by an X, so the top 2 compressions are about 180 degrees off. Somebody said 120, but I figure why do 120 when you can do 180. And I went ahead and put some oil on the skirts, piston skirts, and then I'm going to pour a little bit of oil onto the cylinder walls. I'll probably just take my finger and rub some on there. Make sure everything's good and oiled up. Like so. You don't want a dry start for sure. And I'm going to go ahead and pour the rest of this oil here on top of this piston. Like so. Rub it on them skirts. Okay, got my arrow facing forward. Skirts lined up. You can see top ring over here. The bottom ring is going to be over here, off-centered. And then I'm going to take my fancy smancy ring compressor. You have to order these from Kawasaki. It's a special ring compressor. I'm lying, it's just a hose clamp. I'll tighten this down a little bit. Not too tight because we got to knock the piston through there. And make sure this is all in line down here. Oh, we missed a ring. That can be dangerous. Still missing it. All right, I'm gonna pop her back out a little bit. Yeah, maybe no. I'm gonna pop it back out a little bit so I can be sure. Oh, that's not a little bit, that's a lot. All right. We start over with my Kawasaki piston ring compressor. I actually bought a ring compressor, but for the 730, but it's too big for the 541, believe it or not. Let's try this one more time. May have tightened it up a little bit too much. No, I don't think so. Still looking good. Okay, she's in and snugged up. So now I'm going to stick the end cap on. Well, let's see, I've got a, now I can get it on there, I think. I've got the crankshaft all the way up, so a little bit more difficult to get to like that. All I'm doing is just tightening the rod cap on there, hand tight, and then we'll have to torque this. I watched one guy's video, he said he don't torque nothing. I don't know how you guarantee that you don't tighten one side of your rod cap more than the other. I'm gonna have to bring this down to get to it. I've messed with a lot of engines, but I don't think I could get two rod caps exactly the same tension on each side. And maybe it ain't that crucial. I don't know. He said he's never had one come apart. But I'm a little nervous doing things like that. Okay. So we got them tightened down by hand. We'll have to clean all this oil up off the top here before we attempt to put the heads back on. Okay, can y'all hear it building compression? No, it won't build no compression until the heads are on. Anyway, okay, so we got the pistons back in there, and probably go ahead and put the tappets back in, and then we'll need to put the heads back on. And then this is all still open on this side. Put a little light on the subject. So it's all still open here on this side. I'll have to torque them down. You can see the piston skirts sticking through there. Everything feels pretty good. Doesn't sound like real smooth, but it's pretty smooth. That's just the rings running up and down in them cylinders with them grooves in there. So anyway, I'll bring you back on the next step.